Yeah, that's actually a big shocker because Dignitas have never been pushed really this far in a promotion tournament against the team of this caliber. So TDK are just coming out the door really strong, coming out the gate swinging.
Yeah, backs against the wall. Let's see if they can recover. Caitlyn banned away. Still the same things out of TDK, but that Rise, no chance Alex is going to get his hands on it. That Caitlyn has been such a threat the entire series, though.
Yep. So the Caitlyn ban right here for Dignitas against OQ. And the Twisted Fate ban as well. Don't want to give Shiphtur that last pick and affect the side lane. Something that Alex was talking about in that sound on tape that we had that was brought up in the last game. He really likes to think that the game doesn't really revolve around mid. It revolves around those side lanes and getting them ahead.
Yeah, the last ban is going to be Janna as well. So, a lot of power picks are still open to TDK. That Kalista, it was banned throughout the past 2 games. Could be a quick answer for OQ. I wonder if that mobility build translates onto Kalista as well, so you can't catch it. But instead, Flarezs decides to go back to that Ekko that was so instrumental in game number 1.
Yeah, the Kalista hover there. So, going to be very interesting to see what ends up happening later on in this Champions. Like, if the Kalista does go through, or if Dignitas realize that that might have been a pick that they really didn't have to keep banning out.
The answer from Dignitas is going to be Poppy once again for BillyBoss. Relatively successful in the previous game, but that Trundle is still available to deal with it. And Kirei going to that Elise.
Okay.
Tried and true.
So despite Nidalee being up, Kirei is going to take the Elise, and like I said, it's his S tier. I would not be surprised if Kez goes for the Graves or goes for the Nidalee now. Both are up, both are great champions. And then looks like they're just taking away here. So the Ekko is going to be top lane most likely into the Poppy. And yeah, it's going to be an Alistar. No Trundle here for support because Trance just likes to peel. Trance has a peel style, and if he's playing alongside OQ, which we just heard him talk about, one of the best AD carries in the world in his opinion, then yeah, peel for the guy. Let him do his job.
Yeah, and what better way to do that than by taking that Alistar? Now, Kalista is still open, so we could see that Kalista-Alistar synergy that they were so afraid of earlier. And now Dignitas looking at their next 2 picks. Red side, they've got counter pick. Will they use it this time around? Looks like no, as Lucian is locked in along with Braum. So some very confident choices from Dignitas.
Locked in immediately, and I think that the Braum is definitely a good pick here. Alongside the Lucian, have that combination. KiWiKid with his Alistar taken away. It's another tanky support for him to pick up. Oh man, I don't think it's the time. I don't think it's time to bust out the Vayne. I think the Ezreal is the most likely pick here for OQ, and he's played a lot of Ezreal in the season. He ended up pretty much defaulting to that champion whenever it was up, to the point that it was almost a little bit annoying. You're like, when are you gonna play something else? Because Ezreal every single game for this guy, and he likes to be that long range, just poke. Like, Caitlyn's a great champion for him, Ezreal's a great champion for him. He likes to play around the range disparity of his champion versus the enemy AD carry and go for those outplays.
We'll see if he decides to commit to it. Karma locked in along with that Ezreal. Yeah, that's going to be a mid lane Karma. It's up to Shiphtur to look for the counter pick to deal with that.
Yeah, Alex has been on top of his champion pool and adapting it. He played mid lane Nautilus, he's playing Karma, he was able to bring out the Lissandra no problem, and he still has things up his sleeve like Varus, like they want to play other types of compositions. So Alex is a very versatile player, and we're going to see what his Karma is able to do with the 6.6 buffs, which is the Mantra E, the Defiance, that's going to allow the extra shield to come through for his team and have more movement speed for engaging and disengaging, which is great in a double AD composition.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of damage and utility for TDK, and we'll see how they pull it together. As Dignitas are looking for their final pick, Shiphtur once again looking to counter that Karma in the mid lane. Took LeBLanc in his previous match to moderate success, but just wasn't able to close it out in the late game. And looks like he's going to go back to it once again. Timer has run to 0, and it's locked in.
And these might be the final picks for Dignitas as an LCS team for the 2016 season. It's match point right now for TDK, and Dignitas are going to need a miracle to sweep this back and take 3 games in a row because TDK have been looking very sharp in that mid game. The mid game is when they get those explosive leads. We see their early game, even in the game that they won in game 1, it was a 2,000 gold lead, and it stayed there for a very long time. And then the team fight phase came through for TDK, and that's where they were able to shine over Dignitas.
And with that, we've got our final 2 team compositions locked in. We'll see if that mid-game spike is going to happen once again for TDK as Team Dignitas. Lives on the line. This is their last quarter in the LCS machine. Will they get a game over? Or will they advance to the next level? We'll find out as the coaches shake hands for what could be the last time. So once again, the teams are loading onto the Rift. Let's update your series predictions on Twitter. Hashtag TDK win or hashtag DIG win. Are we going to a Game 5, or is this going to be it for the night and for Dignitas? We'll find out soon.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We need to at least get to Game 4 for Dignitas.
Yes.
Basically, if you're a Dignitas fan, you need to be giving your team your energy right now.
Yeah. Hands to the sky. Let's get some spirit bombs for them.
Yeah, because Dignitas, it's not that they need a lot of help. They need a lot of encouragement right now because they're down 2-0. They haven't been able to find a huge amount of leverage in these games. And all in all, Dignitas have lost 8 games in a row.
Not a very good place to be in. And I think you hit the nail on the head right there. The fact that they cannot find any leverage, be it in the AD carry role, be it in the top lane, even Shiphtur, who did remarkably well in the early game and mid game in game number 2, not able to turn it into anything concrete. There goes a 5-man invade from TDK. They did have vision of Shiphtur in the mid lane, so.
Yeah, because why not? You're up a game, you're up 2 games, invade in this best of 5, no problem. If you actually catch somebody on the retreat, then you set yourselves up for a fantastic early game in TDK. They honestly, it's bad to say, but they honestly have enough wiggle room to throw away a game by a bad invade. So blind invading is not a problem at all.
They're going to get some deep vision to spot out any potential swaps from Dignitas. Apollo goes for the recall with KiWiKid. They would walk on top of a ward if they go to that top lane. But it looks like TDK are going to stick with that lane swap. In fact, staying in the brush right next to Krugs.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting because Braum plus Lucian, early game combination, you might have to give it to the Braum Lucian if they face check it and actually are able to apply the passive of Braum.
Yeah, they managed to get the ping out. They know that it is a lane swap, and in fact, it's met.
No, they don't know it's a lane swap because it's Graves and the top laner. So all you see right there from Dignitas' side is you see TDK's top laner and their jungler starting on the top side. So you think he's just going to leash for them, but then it ends up being, oh, well, look at that. Now you're in lane, and it's too late to actually call it off. That's going to be Flarezs' TP because he starts on the other side. So that's the advantage for Billy there. But as this develops, Billy has to press that advantage, or then the lane swap just goes in favor of the team that really wanted to have that 2-on-2.
BillyBoss now going to take some harass as the Corrupting Potion just adds to the damage being traded back and forth onto that Poppy. He was able to come back after an early deficit in game number 2. We'll see if he can do it once again as Flarezs.
All that movement speed.
He's going to kill you or he's going to die trying.
Every time. Flarezs pretty much doesn't retreat from fights. If he would kill 2 people, he's like, just keep going, keep going. I love that rollout from game 1 where everybody's like, back, and he's Eing in. He's like, no, Maokai. Just go after the Maokai every time. And hopefully your team backs you up. I mean, Trance did have his back on that top lane kill when he was 2 levels down.
Shiphtur getting some good damage onto Alex. As Kez ganks bottom. Double flash for the follow-up. Red buff gets some slow, and first blood onto Kez.
And Kez, like I was saying, he's showing a new side to him. He is able to play these aggressive junglers, and he was always the vision guy. He was criticized for being too focused on vision back in his complexity days and when he was on TDK in the LCS. Now, he's been able to expand, play some AD carry junglers, play a little bit more of the AP carry too. So Kez has just been blossoming a lot in terms of his play style in the Challenger Series. But Dignitas, nope, they saw that play on the bot side. They're going to try to make a play on this top side here.
Oh, they don't quite have the minions under the turret just yet. Ignite gets dropped down. They're managing to get a good CC lock. OQ flashes the initial damage. Shiphtur is tanking the turret. He takes 2 hits and is able to get out. Kirei manages to kill OQ, and they get the kill and get out alive.
Oh man, good play there by Dignitas, but they're gonna lose a little bit in the CS department. And Graves is once again visiting bottom. He's shoved up again. Poppy too far forward. He has red buff still. And there you go. Okay, so he's gonna back off right in time with the help of that ward. And Billy's just gonna get zoned off again.
Yeah, just deny that Poppy as much as possible.
Yeah, it has been pretty miserable for Billy in almost this entire series. Billy, when he has an advantage, he tries to press it, and then the rest of TDK is there. TDK is there to back up Flarezs.
Once again, the trading from Flarezs.
Yep, the W steadfast presence from Poppy will not stop the Ekko E on the second part. It will stop the initial tumble though.
The dash blink combo.
Exactly, it'll stop the dash, but it will not stop the blink portion of it. So phase dive, you have to be very close for that to actually be
Kirei shows himself top once again, as he knows that could be ripe for a dive, but the ward is cleared out, and he looks to clear away. Kez is already on that side of the map, though.
Yep, and I want to see how much of a difference this makes for Kirei playing the Elise, the champion that he climbed the ladder with, the champion that he was accused of being a one-trick pony with. We talked about comfort in the last game, but this is really comfort for Kirei this time. The Nidalee seemed like something he wasn't able to provide the same amount of pressure on, and so far that dive top just showed that even though Dignitas are down 2-0 in the series and on match point for TDK, they aren't afraid to make those risky plays, to roam, to have Shiphtur get a piece of the action alongside Kirei.
And this is what we saw in game number 2, that Dignitas were able to play through the nerves, play through being at a deficit, and ended up taking an early advantage because of it. Question is, can they do it again 2 times in a row and in fact turn it into something more, turning it into a more concrete lead that they can then propel into a win? It has yet to be seen. 6 minutes in, everyone is still just farming it up. Playing nice and safe as the junglers contest vision all over the map. And that's a lot of wards for 6 minutes into the game. From both sides.
Yep, Tracker's Knife for Kez, first buy even on an aggressive jungler. He ends up getting himself the Hunter's Potion so he can stay out there farming for a very long time. And Flarezs is going to proxy the wave, but Kirei is just going to continue to farm, and the rest of the team is going to try and back him up here. You can see Kez off on the side, ready to collapse whenever. And now they know that a wave isn't going to be able to stop this wave. So Billy, the right move here for Billy is to leave or push up the front, make sure that they have to dive the turret, and that's exactly what he's going to do here, but Flarezs is going to get out.
That's a lot of damage.
Oh!
Level 5, the flash. He gets the kill of Revenge. Billy finally going to go down to Kez and Alex, but it's a 1-for-1 trade for that dive.
And Flarezs didn't get to use the ultimate there and chrono shift back.
Yeah, here comes Shiphtur, though. He doesn't have any boots, but he's got some good damage if he can catch up. Let's see what spell he's going to decide to mimic. Kirei trying to cash back up. Kez gets damage and dashes out. Can't turn it into a kill.
So it goes 1-for-1. That kill ends up going over to Alex. And on the other side, it goes over to Kirei on that Elise. So Kirei, once again, been a part of 100% of these kills. Same with Kez. So it's just the duel of the junglers. And talked about it before the game. Kirei, he has his champion, so stepping up shouldn't be too difficult for him. But Kez is once again showing a different side of him. Being a little bit of a monster in this series.
Alex in the mid lane, keeping pace with Shiphtur. As Kez continuing to try to snowball that kill and assist that he's got, but all of the priorities are on the jungler this game. It's kind of interesting to see how this has turned into such a jungle-oriented series after game 2. After game 1, really.
Yeah. Game 1 was on those AD carries, and still, Kirei, he did end up having very low impact in it. Maybe we could have stopped it, but it was really hard to stop OQ's Caitlyn, which... Oh, yeah. I was thinking about last game. So I talked about Caitlyn's attack speed scaling. What I meant was, I meant 1.1, not 90. I had 90 caliber net in my head, but Caitlyn scales incredibly well with attack speed, and that's why we're seeing 2 attack speed items on her.
I see.
Yeah, I don't know why I blanked on that when
well, you are still talking about
it, yeah.
Kalista.
Yeah, because Kalista's
the lower AD.
the 0.9. And Caitlyn's the 1.1, so attack speed is very good for her. And she can be a hyper carry. It just ends up being a little bit harder to execute on. It's not the same type of thing as shredding a tank with a Vayne or the old Kog'Maw. But yeah, she's definitely in a league of her own, and that's why we saw her banned this game, and we saw OQ doesn't even care about Kalista when it's up.
Yeah.
So it was definitely the right ban to drop and get that Caitlyn out of the equation.
And it's starting to show how Dignitas are evolving in terms of respect to TDK. As they're learning more over the series, they're able to better handle how things are playing. BillyBoss dashes in to trade with Flarezs to dodge the snare. And Stun, in fact, gets a shield for himself and starts bullying Flarezs away. Chrono Shift is available, but Flarezs doesn't get too much health back from it. Oh. Ooh, he dead.
Oh, too early.
It's still air, and BillyBoss with the solo kill.
Oh, man, too early on the phase dive there from Flarezs, and he still had flash. So if he had flashed out of the Steadfast Presence and actually E'd, he would have been completely fine. But no cigar there, and it's going to be BillyBoss ending up getting that solo kill. Flarezs, man, like you said, he'll try to kill you, or he'll die trying.
Well, that time it didn't really look like it was too much his choice. BillyBoss saw an opening, and he managed to take it. And now, Dignitas once again still in that top lane, clearing out the vision, trying to put the pressure on OQ. And in fact, they're opening up a CS lead over OQ and Trance with mild advantage in favor of Apollo.
Could be another dive here. You're talking about this OQ and Trance lane with Apollo actually having a CS lead. A lot of that is because of the dive that happened earlier. So if you're able to dive again with Elise, with Kirei, you can open it up even more. But look at this, just another good move here from Dignitas.
Taking the Rift Herald instead. It's chain for chain. Oh, double snare finds the two. Dragon traded on the far side of the map for Rift Herald.
Okay, this is where you dive.
Yeah, now they've got the minion wave.
Apollo's by himself, by the way. Braum is on the opposite side, and OQ's just letting this hit the turret.
There they go.
Oh,
Cocoon
too early.
Fired way too soon. There's teleport. OQ taking some big damage. There's the knockup, but OQ's already out of it. Here comes Flarezs.
Oh, Billy!
Flashes to escape. BillyBoss joins the end as well. Shiphtur is the guy who secures the kill when it's all said and done. Calling for the minions. BillyBoss is too deep. He doesn't have a flash. He's taking the turret as well. They're able to get a kill in return, but BillyBoss is going to go down. Trance now trying to zone away the rest of Dignitas. It's 2 for 1. Can they turn it into anything else? Not quite.
Yeah, at this point, you have to trade that bottom turret for this top one. So Kez will be able to pick up a turret as Dignitas does on the top side after they get that dive. So good dive there again from Dignitas. They're just abusing this lane phase, and they're abusing the fact that Kirei's on this Elise, and he knows how to dive with it. But look at the Shiphtur.
Oh, this is the chain. Doesn't have enough follow-up damage to
that would have
shut
been it
down
too.
Alex. Yeah.
Alex, he does have cleanse, so he would have been able to get out of the root, but otherwise, it would have been a kill there. He would have been able to actually get off that last Sigil of Malice. We'll see here. Comes around the side. Kirei misses the cocoon, doesn't even walk up for the red buff auto attack, and then he repels, and the aggro swaps over to Apollo. Apollo has to disengage it, but then Billy is able to dive in, goes, tag me in, and Shiphtur's got his back. Alex shows up. Flarezs walks too far forward, gets cocooned, and once again, Flarezs cannot ultimate out of that. It's the second time that he wasn't able to chrono shift and ends up dying for it, so the Ekko pick. Hard counter by that CC when he's low.
Not quite able to get the chrono shift off. And unfortunately for BillyBoss, he says, tag me in. Well, nobody's got his back. Get out from under that turret. TDK trying to shove this mid tier 1. They get some good damage off before Dignitas can respond, but turret's still standing with a little bit of life there. About a fifth. Should be a relatively easy turret to break with Karma, Ezreal, and Graves once they manage to find the opening. But so far, with all of the emphasis put on shutting down OQ, we can see how Dignitas are going to try to play this game out, continue to keep OQ down, prevent him from getting to that late game hyper carry that he did in game number 1 and 2.
Yeah, his Ezreal does take a long time to turn on. He's the Iceborne Gauntlet and the Monamu Muramana. He also hasn't converted his Cull over yet, whereas Apollo has. So he's a little bit behind in gold right now, and Apollo has just a large lead over him in terms of combat stats. And you're basically comparing Tier Sheen to Essence Reaver. Spoiler alert, Essence Reaver is much better and much more expensive.
So far, the early game going good for Dignitas, but that's what we saw in game number 2. Once again, Kez is doing some work for them. 1-0-1, and now with 2 kills on Alex. We'll see if they are able to pivot and focus around Alex and Kez instead of Flarezs and Kez.
Well, I don't know if they're going to give him the opportunity to. They're just going to take his turret here.
Ooh, Kirei separated. He's got nowhere to go. Drops down, but gets destroyed before the True Shot Barrage can secure him.
Yep, no kill going over to OQ there. It does go over to Kez, who once again, 2-0-1. He's doing a lot of work here, but both junglers are, so they're going to have to face each other in this whole jungle war. But I do think that Apollo is somebody who has to step up this game as well. Apollo's been a consistent force for Dignitas all split long. Even in their losses, he's very consistent. Same with Shiphtur. But they just haven't been able to have the same carry performances.
Yeah, can't quite convert those carries into a win. Trade-off for that pressure in the mid lane, though, means that BillyBoss gets some free time with the bottom tier 1. Not going to be able to take it down as Flarezs gets there in time and clears the minion wave. And OQ on the opposite side was able to catch up in minions to Apollo. He's still down just a bit, but is able now to complete that Iceborne Gauntlet. As BillyBoss, oh man, once again, calling Flarezs bluff. If you're going to try to kill me, I'll just kill you back.
He's just going in every time that the passive is available onto Billy, using his Grasp of the Undying as well. So he stays in combat with the minions and then jumps at him. So Billy ends up having to back off of that, and the CS lead goes over to Flarezs, but no, actually, cancel there for Billy. So right now, Dignitas have to think about how they end up winning this game. How do they end up converting this small lead that they have into even more? So Kirei needs to be active, Shiphtur needs to continue to roam, and there aren't any outer turrets left to dive except for that middle one, which has already been, I believe, chunked out a decent bit now on Dignitas' side. So play through Shiphtur's lane for a little bit, and you might be able to expand this lead and not lose too much for it. Because TDK, let's see, 2 men at the top. And Dignitas are going to answer with 3 here with Kirei. But they're just going to back off, and it might be Rift Herald again for Dignitas. I think that's a smart take here, is you just pick that up, get whatever small advantage you can.
Looks like they might lose that mid-tier 1, though. Mistimed recall from Shiphtur and everyone else on Dignitas leaves it unprotected. Alex gets there along with Kez. Shiphtur jumps in to try protecting it. There's an aggressive teleport from Flarezs under the turret. Kirei once again going a bit too far, and Flarezs gets pinned against the turret. There goes the collateral damage. Turret goes down. Knockup isn't going to find anyone as KiWiKid is forced to get out. BillyBoss trying to fight, but still no sign of Apollo as Flarezs gets away. Cocoon gets dodged. There's a knockup from Trance, but he's not able to lock anyone down quite enough. Oh, Trance is going to be stunned. Gets out of it with the Unbreakable Will. True Shot Barrage finds more damage, but again, this is such a scattered fight. TDK find Apollo split. They chase him down. Can they lock him down for the kill? KiWiKid is able to keep him alive. BillyBoss eats a snare. No one has died yet by some miracle. And it looks like they're going to be able to disengage.
Yeah, it's a complete skirmish back and forth. TP used from Flarezs, and the turret just gets demolished, and that's the only casualty of the fight. The turret goes down, TDK end up making it only 300 gold difference, but so much used there. Flash and heal from Apollo. OQ has both of his summoners, and Kez flashes as well as Kirei, so this ends up being, honestly, overall, kind of favorable for TDK in that matchup in the bot lane. We'll see here, Kirei has to get out. Good TP from BillyBoss into Flarezs, but Flarezs, he had already activated the W. He gets a little bit of a shield after, and then they aren't really able to continue fighting. You see off on the side that KiWiKid had already used his ultimate, so he doesn't have it to re-engage here, and Apollo shows up late. Trance, very quick to hit that R, and then not able to collapse onto Apollo fast enough, and there's KiWiKid able to actually block off as Billy was able to use his ultimate and get some people out of that fight. So a lot of things happened there to make it so that nobody died. Just a lot of back and forth, a lot of disengaging, and a lack of focus as well.
Yeah, when that trade is all said and done, it does mean off the recall, Dignitas are able to take their first Dragon of the game, which keeps them even with TDK, exactly what we saw in game number 2. And so far, it seems like we're seeing a mirror image of that game.
Oh boy.
Naka finds Apollo. He's got no one there to help him. Looks like a fight in the mid lane. Alex goes low. Ignite is burning him down.
Shield.
He gets alive with a shield. Finally, Kirei is going to be able to catch up to him. Kez with no flash gets knocked up. The stun is going to keep him in place. Double kill for Kirei, and now it's 5v3 for Dignitas.
And this is why Kirei's Elise was so feared during the beginning of the split, is dealing with it is so difficult to do. He knows how to dive on it, he knows his damage output, and he is just way more active on this champion than he was the Nidalee. This is a much better pick for him, and I understand now why it was taken away so early on by TDK in the last draft. This is the Iceborne Gauntlet coming into play here though. Flash forward, the auto for the slow, and then comes up with a wall, even more slows. And OQ even flashed just to try and get into range so that he can pick up that kill. So OQ gets his first kill of the game. And they take down Apollo.
That Ezreal getting closer and closer towards the Muramana Iceborne Gauntlet. That scary, scary moment when he can kill you from outside of 700 range.
Yeah, and there's only going to be one person on this team, and that's BillyBoss. Is going to be prioritizing any type of armor. We'll see a little bit from KiWiKid, but I think he's going to go more for the Locket first, the Aegis. And just to affect Flarezs and Alex's damage. It is a little bit of OQ's damage as well, to be fair.
So now we've got to start wondering. We're getting to the point where we were in game number 2, where Dignitas were ahead, and then TDK took their mid-game surge and really started propelling. Well, we're 20 minutes in. We're seeing the exact same thing. Minor lead for Dignitas, and TDK have managed to catch back up in terms of overall gold.
It's going to come down to those team fights again. This has been a series all about team fights. You see Dignitas get lead off the turrets early. They're playing the map a little bit better game 2, but it's those fights that TDK excel in. And if you aren't able to match them, then you have to pick something that's not going to team fight them over and over again. Whereas Shiphtur's looking for picks, Kirei's looking for them as well, but the rest of the team is really kind of centered around fighting. And then TDK, they have Siege, they have double AD carry. So I think that this is a not so much mismatch, but I think that TDK have a style that is very well suited even to their champions to just fight and win those mid-game team fights.
We'll see if they're able to do so as some vision is pressed forward into Dignitas's jungle. They're even going to get some time to shove this wave bottom as now OQ has caught up in CS with Apollo. Taking a look at the gold, he's in fact only down about 300 gold behind Apollo after that very oppressive early game. So still able to get back up.
Right now, you can see Kirei top side of the map. This is not where he needs to be right now because Graves on the bottom side. Alex is here as well. This might be your tier 2 tower from Dignitas going down because the movements from the jungle are not mirroring what Kez is doing. And now he's running all the way across, but the damage is already being done to this turret. TPUs, they really want this turret.
Yeah, BillyBoss not going to teleport on his own. Doesn't quite have it. The tier 2 goes down. And once again, the pressure. Wow.
Almost.
Apollo able to get out of that. The pressure from TDK in this mid game is just, Dignitas cannot deal with it time and time again. They fumble at catching TDK.
And TDK are very forceful when they want to get a tier 2, when they want to get that turret. And they made the call too. They didn't know that Kirei was going to be on the top side of the map. It just so happened to be that way. And it ended up working out for TDK.
Alex knows that something's a little bit fishy. Takes a
Oh,
long way out. Kez smited. I think he got the big one there.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he got the Wolf Spirit sneaking around. And now 23 minutes into the game, Dignitas still only ahead by about 600 gold. This game is neck and neck, but TDK are scaling closer and closer towards those team fights that they seem to love so much. Dignitas seem ready. They're looking for an entryway. 5 members are caught up. There's a 2-man knockup. Kirei's locked down. He's going to repel away. Trance in the front, taking some damage. Shiphtur gets good damage onto OQ, but again, he can't execute him. Trance trying to take some damages. Dignitas chase forward to Culling is going to find 2. He's not locking them down. Flarezs, Chrono Break shifts back in, but he ends up going down. And Dignitas, whoa, collateral damage not enough. The True Shot Barrage is also not enough. This is so close.
OQ forward?
TDK turn it around.
OQ has flash. I don't know if he'd actually flash E forward, but he's not going to go for it. And they're just going to continue to push. They have the minion wave in advantage here for TDK. It's going to be the push forward. And OQ had the Vamp Scepter, so he was skirting around the fight, healing up. BillyBoss does have TP, but he's actually just going to run straight out of the base and go to that bottom wave. And that's the risk that TDK did not want to take, is the TP flank from Billy working out in their favor.
So while it is going to be a kill advantage for Dignitas, they're forced to back away.
Yeah, all over the place. The Cocoon lands on Kez, so does the Q, but the follow-up is not there. Everybody has to focus Trance. And then Shiphtur onto OQ, and now OQ has to run around this fight. Can't really auto-attack too much. BillyBoss with a flash forward and the Keeper's Verdict, whereas Flarezs, he just gets blown up on the left side. He had to go back in with his low HP, and that almost ended up being awful for Dignitas. So they get out with a little bit of an advantage with that kill onto Flarezs, and Dignitas, they're going to have to contest this dragon. We'll see what happens here. BillyBoss off on the side, the rest of the team not really in position to actually do so.
Yeah, down to 3,000 health. Slowly being burned through by TDK. They're trying to wait it out. They know they want the fight. BillyBoss goes in, but Dragon has been secured. Flarezs is going to be forced to take a big flash over the wall. But he's able to get out, and TDK are not locked down by Dignitas.
Yeah, BillyBoss there, he ends up getting a flash by himself because he stopped the first part of the phase dive with his W. And he also almost got OQ in a really bad position, but the E came out first. Kez,
It's caught. He's going to be locked down by the ethereal chains. BillyBoss chases forward, but Kez gets out. And again, Dignitas just can't find any kills.
Flarezs going after Kirei.
Oh, wow, getting really aggressive there. There goes the Chrono Break. He goes back. Repel is going to get Kirei away. BillyBoss eats his snare. Still relatively tanky, though. He's got his team to back him up. He's knocked up by Trance, but cannot quite follow up. Meanwhile, Kez has healed himself back up. And everyone disengages. These fights are so bloody, but they're just not resulting in any kills.
Yeah, OQ was actually doing the red pretty much that entire time, so he was picking up that buff for himself instead of assisting his team to take out Kirei or continue that fight against BillyBoss. So, didn't have the large source of damage there for TDK. And look across the items here, Muramana completed for OQ. So he's going to be doing a large amount of damage here. And that's been the OQ story, really, is he just keeps trying to scale up when he hits that mid-game point, when he hits those power spikes. He tries to abuse them, and I want to see what he does this game. But Dignitas, match point for TDK to knock Dignitas out of the LCS and then get one step closer and play Renegades tomorrow.
Shiphtur looking for a kill there to try to propel something, anything into Dignitas' favor, but OQ is playing safe. Ends up recalling. He's now completed that Muramana, and now a Blade of the Ruined King on top of it. That Ezreal is fully operational. Dignitas. They are going to be able to get this bottom tier 1, though. Flarezs.
BillyBoss going to make a
damage, though. BillyBoss actually taking some damage, but
he's got to back off.
Yeah. So that's the bottom tier 1 picked up for Dignitas, finally cleaned up and evened up in turrets. And again, we're waiting for those big team fights that TDK loves so much.
Top lane, a little interesting. They're going to just push, force this down. TDK, many members in this top lane, 3-1. But Alex has wave clear. That's the thing that Dignitas' team composition lacks. Kiwi was trying to help top.
Oh, he's caught. Drops the shield, blocks 2, knock up. Can he get someone to save him? Double teleport. Cocoon finds Kez, but Trance is body blocking for him. The teleports both complete. Kez is locked down. The Law of Malmortius is popped, and Dignitas are forced to run away. They don't have an AD carry. Apollo's at Krugs. BillyBoss is going to knock them away, but he goes down, and TDK find the pick they were looking for.
It took so much to make that happen, but they're right by Baron. Don't think they're going to do it. They're going to just go for that top turret and get that last outer turret that they need on TDK's side, and Dignitas are going to try to shove down the mid lane, try to answer turrets at this point.
Oh, it looks like it might be a bit of a base race. Dignitas with the fast play down mid lane, find damage on the tier 2, not enough wave clear on the Ekko, and the tier 2 goes down in trade for the top tier 1. Dignitas are still able to make good of a bad situation.
And Dignitas overall, despite losing Billy, they trade, which is more advantageous turret, to be honest. Push mid lane even further back. It's worth a little bit more gold, not locally, but globally. And Billy, as a player, he's not somebody that we've actually talked too much about. Oh, hold on though.
Finds Flarezs. He's trying to bait out the Chrono Shift, but doesn't quite find it. Kirei finds OQ. He's able to heal himself back up. There's the repel to deny the knock-up. True Shot Barrage gets some damage across. Once again, Apollo split pushing.
Wow. OQ is very lucky that Shiphtur had already used a lot of his damage onto a different target right beforehand. So OQ not getting blown up there despite being very vulnerable to the burst of Shiphtur, who's on 2 items at this point. Deathcap, Morello, this LeBLanc already sporting 345 AP.
Once again, gold lead for Shiphtur in the mid lane, but not too much. You just saw it pop up on your screen for a second there. And these teams are playing so cautiously. Dignitas are trying so hard not to make any mistakes. That's why when we saw KiWiKid get caught, 5 members collapsed to try to keep him alive. Again, their LCS spot is on the line. If they lose this game, they are out and into the Challenger Series.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Billy for a second because he's a player that we've not talked about in almost any capacity in terms of Dignitas games. He's a guy that was added to the roster after Smitty J, who was no longer with the team, thrown onto it, and they just stuck with him. And he's a guy that had to adjust to the LCS in pretty much a crash course, and the adjustment has not been kind to Billy. It's been a very rough road for this player, having to adjust to tank tops, having to adjust his style to actually playing in a professional scene, and getting more proficient at lane swaps. So Billy's engages have also left a lot to be desired. His TP plays, nope, they miss the mark quite often. But he does always seem to have that one TP play a game, or that one Poppy ultimate per game that really turns things around. So he can be a clutch player, but it's that 20%. When does that 20% show itself from Billy?
I haven't seen it quite yet in this series. Dragon now has spawned. This is 3 for TDK, 2 for Dignitas. And Kirei finds Flarezs. He's going to be knocked up. Once again, the skirmish begins. Knockup finds a few people as BillyBoss is looking for Kez. Kirei's forced to recall. And this could be Dragon going over with a successful skirmish. A little bit of early positioning for TDK allows them to get the majority of their damage off. Too fast for Dignitas to respond.
TDK end up taking their 3rd Dragon, so the movement speed goes over to this team that has double AD carry. Very beneficial for them. Baron pinged out, though, from Dignitas. They have been doing some pretty quick Barons in this series, and they have been dominating the vision portion of it. Kiwi's going to find this ward, and they're going to have to clear out all of it. So now TDK, they're on the rush to get back here and see if it's just a bait and Dignitas want the fight, or 2 chains.
Yeah, finds a double snare. Not able to find a kill, though. Maul of Malmortius still not popped on Kez. There goes Flarezs, drops the parallel convergence. The Chronosphere doesn't find anyone. Blue buff secured by Kirei, but that's his smite. Meaning there's no chance they can try to look for a Baron. As 5 members of TDK are grouped up in this side of the jungle. There's another parallel convergence. Cocoon finds Trance. Takes some damage. Shiphtur over the wall is able to zone players away. Trance goes down. It's 5v4 right now.
They just blew up Trance, who's a large part of the engage from TDK. It's the reliable portion of the engage. Everybody else has to kind of put their body incredibly at risk, and Trance is the one who had the ultimate.
Oh, they're looking for a flank. Kirei comes around the side. No slow is going to find them. There's a knockup onto Alex. A chain will find Kez, but now Kiwi and Kirei are split from the rest of the team. Kirei goes down, and Kiwi is forced to group up with everyone else. Apollo's kiting back with the rest of his team, but they just can't quite find a way to get back together as TDK turn it around. A chain finds OQ. Shiphtur's looking for more. He doesn't find it. Mantra gives Alex some speed. Flash as he looks to lock down another member. BillyBoss is snared, but he's got some CC. Apollo is being dived by Flarezs. TDK going very aggressive in this fight. Here comes KiWiKid. OQ doesn't have anything. He's forced to flash out. He goes low, but he's still alive. Apollo goes down to Flarezs. KiWiKid and BillyBoss are running under their turret, but they're not able to make it, and TDK again find the team fight.
And TDK, the mid-game team fights are where they shine, and they come up big again. This might be Baron for TDK in Game 3, and this might be the beginning of the end for Dignitas' LCS career.
Shiphtur's looking for a way in. He's not going. Oh, he does, in fact, spot Alex. So decides to back off. Better to keep himself alive and defend the base. But this is Baron secured now by TDK. No chance of it being answered back. And now TDK, as predicted, the mid-game team fights. 34 minutes in, now they take the gold lead.
They're just on a much better page than the rest of Dignitas. Look at that. Kirei comes in from the side, gets chunked out by Flarezs. The tank Ekko blows him up. KiWiKid has to run off to the side, and the rest of Dignitas are just getting slowed constantly. Red buff from OQ, the follow-up there from Alex, and then the chase down. The Mantra Defiance runs the rest of the team straight forward. Kez zones off Shiphtur, and then he gets the root. Alex has to flash forward to try and get that root onto Billy, and then the team wants to come back. Kiwi had run all the way around the left side, and you can see in the bottom left corner, they're already taking a large part of the base. Here comes the TP flank from Billy. This may be the final fight.
Yeah, tries to get in. Billy is going to split Kez away, but they can't get through Trance, who's so tanky. Two-man knockup. BillyBoss locked down as well. Shiphtur can't find a way in. Apollo kiting on the back. Flarezs leading the charge with Kez, but they cannot lock anyone down. Shiphtur goes in and is forced to hop out. But this inhibitor is going to go down. OQ, whoa, doesn't find anyone just yet. Repel, but Kirei's got nowhere to go. He flashes. They're continuing to dive. The three-man knockup. Apollo's under the turret. Kiwi goes low. He's able to get out, but Apollo is dead. No, that's a triple kill. It's up to BillyBoss and Shiphtur to keep Dignitas in the running for the LCS, but TDK will not be stopped. They're charging forward now. Flarezs doesn't even care about the Nexus turrets, and they could be ending the game. They could be trying to get that spot into the LCS promotion tournament semifinals. They're on the Nexus itself, and TDK have done it and eliminated Team Dignitas from LCS contention.
A clean 3-0 for TDK over Dignitas. The 2016 Summer LCS will not have Dignitas for the first time in LCS history. TDK move on to the next round to play Renegades, and they have to feel confident about that 3-0. Their team fighting was on point. They were able to take down the Relegation King, and the clutch was just not there for Dignitas in this entire series.
A new Relegation King has been crowned in Alex, as he was able to do some serious work for his team, but OQ on that AD carry role, so incredibly vital to his team. The fact that TDK over the past few weeks have been able to come together and identify their strengths so cleanly.
And we don't have many trades in League of Legends professional play for other players. We ended up seeing Ninja and Seraph traded over to Renegades for Flarezs, RF, and Alex, and then they also picked up Trance. And this has been successful for both parties. Renegades got out of 10th place. They saw improvement. They're putting themselves in this matchup that's going to be against TDK with their former members. And TDK saw improvements near the end of the split. They just took down Dignitas. And now we're going to have at least one new LCS team in 2016.
Yeah, things a little bit concerning for Dignitas. Of course, they are still in the running for next year. They're going to be in the 2016 Summer NACS Challenger Series. So it's not the last we've seen of Team Dignitas. They'll definitely be back. And considering how they were playing throughout that series, I'm looking forward to see how they'll be able to improve over the course. But Alex, you just saw him right there, smiling as he was able to get together with his team and really pull together that win. And 3-0, TDK were able to do it.
Yeah, 3-0, very clean from them. It was just those mid-game team fights where they were just waiting, stalling, waiting out for that, and then they go boom. Immediately, they're able to actually get a large advantage off of that and end up coming together. So TDK take down Dignitas, and they move on to play Renegades. And I want to talk about that matchup a little bit because Renegades is a very early game-centered team. We've looked at the statistics many, many times. Renegades have been ahead in most of their games. Despite losing, they've almost always had an early game gold lead. We saw them get thousands of gold leads against near the top half of the LCS teams. But against TDK, if you get an early gold lead, this is a team that likes to fight mid-game. If you get that type of lead against them, TDK may flounder.
Yeah, they just might. We've actually got a replay of TDK winning a fight from behind. This was in the mid lane, 5v4. They had just lost Trance, but TDK were still able to pull it together with the cohesive fight.
Yeah, they lost Trance, so they don't have that peel, and Kirei is going to come from the side at 3/4 HP, and then Flarezs immediately identifies that, chases him down, and makes sure that he can actually pick up this kill and then start the fight off as everybody continues to skirmish in the middle of the lane.
It really was sort of a turning point for the game. That here we can see Kirei looking to get in and just completely split from the rest of his team. Big damage finds him, separates him. KiWiKid split off from the rest of his team as well. And from there, it was relatively easy cleanup for TDK. And these minor communication issues in these team fights, in these incredibly tense moments, were things that we saw from Dignitas over and over throughout the series.
Alex with the flash forward, the route onto BillyBoss, and that allowed the team to catch up, deal the damage, and kind of bait in again. OQ only gets 2 stacks of the Braum passive there. Apollo had to go backwards, and then Flarezs ended up picking him off because he got baited by the fact that there were stacks on OQ. And this entire series, they've been trying to get to OQ, try to shut him down, and they were just never able to really do that on the side of Dignitas.
Yeah, it was quite unfortunate. Now, KiWiKid, very storied veteran of the LCS. Unfortunately, he will be making his departure with Team Dignitas in the summer season.
Yeah. KiWiKid played 166 regular season games, and he's not missed a regular season game since the start of the LCS, but that is going to change, at least with him on Dignitas. Of course, there are, who's to say that, he ends up going with a different team? Who knows? He could end up having 167 right out the gate, but with Dignitas, it's just not going to be with KiWiKid on it, getting that 167 and keeping that #1, and keeping the fact that he's never missed a regular season game, which is incredible.
Yeah, the fact that he's played 166, that's actually the most in NALCS history. So
he hasn't missed a regular season game. So
yeah,
not counting playoffs and postseason, in terms of regular season, he's played the most.
And seeing Dignitas drop down like this, of course, this is a strong organization. We will be expecting to see some strong performances from them in the Challengers series. But TDK making that final push, really the late season roster shuffle and making it work at the end of playoffs.
Yeah, and you look at a team like Dignitas that at the beginning of the season, they were like, okay, we're gonna kind of mess our roster up a little bit. We're gonna shuffle people around. We're gonna keep KiWiKid. We're gonna add Apollo. We're gonna keep Shiphtur. We're gonna add a new jungler. We're gonna add a new top laner. And they just shifted things around. It didn't end up working out for them. 10th place, eliminated into Challenger, and then TDK, well, they add 3 new players as well. Very short notice, though, near the end of the season, and it ends up working out wonders for them, and they end up taking down Dignitas. It's just the cohesion that came out very quickly for them. It was there. The players had the rapport, and then they ended up being a squad that is now going to have to play for that LCS spot on the line, but they are in the double elimination portion, so they only have to win 1 of their next 2 best-of-5s.
Yeah, and we will see TDK again tomorrow, but there was one man that stood out and claimed our Player of the Series honor. That was TDK's AD carry OQ. His Caitlyn was absolutely dominant in the first 2 games, going 8-0-12, and helped his team sweep Dignitas 3-0.
OQ played like the AD carry that we were told was coming into Challenger. When I heard that the LCK KDA leader, when he first started, was coming over here, I was incredibly excited to watch him. And you can see just by these stat lines that he has done an incredible job. His positioning is on point, and OQ is a monster, and he showed up in this series in all 3 games as well. So you can play around this AD carry, very dependable. It happened in the semis for them, and then it also happened here in the promotion tournament in the first round.
Yeah, you can see his kill participation at a whopping 85%. That just goes to show how they managed to play around him in game #1. Now, that just means that TDK, they've really identified their strengths, and to help us identify a few more of those strengths, we're joined by TDK's mid laner, Alex, after his 3rd series win in the North American Promotion Tournament. Alex, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to get the long handshake across there.
Yeah, I would give you the promotion crown of being the new king and dethroning KiWiKid, but I don't have a crown with me. But how does it feel? You've been in promotion so many times. You've won every time so far. How does that feel?
I lost one in EU.
Oh, you lost one in EU, but that was 0-3 against Unicorns to get 4th place, though. You didn't actually make it to promotion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't make it to promotion, but every time you've been in this situation where it's an elimination match to get into the LCS, you've actually been very clutch and pulled through.
Yeah, it was quite hard. I mean, in scrims, we were playing against good teams or like really strong teams, and I mean we were getting destroyed a lot of times. So, but at the end we were pulling up better and better, and I think a lot of our issues were communication issues because, like when we, for example, play with Bishu, we have better communication, but then he's like worse support, right? And then with Trance, we have worse communication because Kez getting like tired of translating all the time, and then sometimes we don't understand what OQ wants. Sometimes like he doesn't understand us, and some random stuff happens. Like for example, in Apex game, we wanted to turn on Nautilus. He didn't hear. He got cocoon destroyed, and then we lost.
So what's that been like? I mean, with the roster shuffling so recently and doing so, as you mentioned, difficult in scrims, how have you guys been able to pull it together?
I guess we started learning Korean ourselves, and he started learning English. I know that Jushim means careful, so I say Jushim OQ, or he understands that careful means Jushim, like in English. So
okay, so it's about having a multilingual team to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the matchup that you're going to be having against your old squad in Renegades. You helped them qualify, but you've also helped TDK qualify before. So what are your feelings coming into that match? Because you're going to be playing against Flarezs, an old teammate of yours, even going back to NIP, I believe. And how is that feeling? How are you feeling about that matchup against Renegades?
I mean, like, it feels really weird because I was part of a team. But I guess the only thing I want to prove that I'm better than Ninja, so I want to dumpster him in mid lane.
Oh.
I mean, as long as you continue to have such excellent performances. And you said earlier, we got your soundbite about you saying the game isn't going to be decided by the mid lane, by you versus Shiphtur. How do you feel about that against Ninja? Is it going to be, once again, on the mid lane?
I think, like, Ninja, I mean, he's really strong and aggressive mid laner. Sometimes I feel he gets caught because of his aggressiveness, but at the same time, he pulls out a lot of pressure, which is pretty good. So I think it will depend a lot on how I can like mitigate that pressure, because my usual strength is just like mitigating all the pressure and letting my team like carry. So I guess that's how we will play.
So you're going to mitigate the pressure, you're going to let your team carry. So going down to that bot lane, OQ versus Flarezs, how do you think that matchup's going to work out? Because they're both very talented players.
I mean, it's really hard to say because like in scrims, for example, I mean, well, Flarezs dumpsters our bot lane all the time.
He goes really hard in scrims.
Yeah. So I guess depends on what OQ shows up, because I feel like OQ, he doesn't really try hard in scrims, or I mean, he's like the player that off mood, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe he has some ritual, but when we play playoffs, it's just like the player that goes super ham and just destroys everyone, while in scrims, he usually, you know, likes to fall back and play like defensive. That's why it's really hard for me to say how it will go.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to see your performance against Renegades tomorrow. Alex, thank you so much for joining us to talk about that series win. Good luck tomorrow. We'll see you here once again. And let's actually take a look at the bracket. Hold on, we'll get that. There we go. And now we can update the promotion tournament bracket post fist bump. Now, after 3 years, 7 splits, one of the original 8 LCS teams, Team Dignitas, has been eliminated. That means Team Dragon Knights will advance and battle Renegades for the upcoming LCS spot in the promotion tournament. That's going to be happening tomorrow. And again, it's old teammates, an old rival. Well, not really an old rivalry. What could be a new rivalry?
New rivalry, of course, dumpstering Ninja in mid lane. We're going to have to watch out for that from Alex, but also a very talented bot lane for both of these teams. And Renegades TDK, you know, they are the ones who made the trade. They're the ones who traded players, and so they actually saw something on the other team that was a kind of a diamond in the rough, and then they both bolstered their teams with players from the other one. So honestly, this is an exciting matchup. I want to see how it goes, and at the end of the day, you kind of learn who got the better of that trade.
Yeah, we'll certainly find out. We will be back tomorrow with that best-of-5 showdown between Renegades and TDK. After that, Team Impulse will try to hold on to their spot against the #1 seed from the Challenger Series, Team Apex. That all gets underway tomorrow, starting at noon Pacific time. Now, for myself, Zirene, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night. We've got everybody getting ready. The coaches shaking hands as we get this series underway. Whoa, Flarezs, he's getting some good AP damage in. He tries to catch back up. Flarezs goes low. Oh, the shield! The flash shield from Trance.
Nice, fight. Back. I can't move.
He finds Kes, but can't lock him down. Alex, Shiphtur to help him. Shiphtur getting one. Ace of the whole fire down again. He goes down. Ace for TDK. BillyBoss is not going to answer just yet. Flash engage. Kirei is way too far forward. First blood, TDK.
We're winning. Yeah.
We're fine. I'm fine. I will recall.
Yeah. Lucian, no flash.
I saw him.
Nice.
Alex is in the back. Oh, for Apollo. He's found Apollo. Apollo is dead.
Braum, no flash. Poppy, no flash.
But Kirei's got nowhere to go. He flashes. They're continuing to dive. The 3-man knockup. Apollo's under the turn. Kiwi goes low. He's able to get out, but Apollo is dead. No, that's a triple kill. They could be ending the game. They could be trying to get that spot into the LCS promotion tournament semifinals. They're on the Nexus itself, and TDK have done it.